Hey there, this is Brian Tarian from the Disability Digest, and in this video I'm going to go through 7 things you should know about the Social Security information that is going to be required for you to get your benefits and keep your benefits. So if you're trying to get approved, or you're already approved, or if you're watching this and you're working full-time still, this will help give you the competitive edge to know what's going to be expected of you. And then definitely once you've started the process or you're approved, like how that information will be used again. The Social Security Administration is, I kind of liken it to parenting younger children. Like, you'll tell them the answer, no, you can't do this, here's why, and then they'll come back and they'll ask again. Pretty much the same thing here. So I hope you find this helpful. Then at the end, I'm going to give you some next step directions as to what you can do. So hang on, here we go. First thing is your job history. If you're getting started in the process, you want to keep at least 15 years of really good, accurate notes of where you worked, the addresses, your position description, like what your job title was, what your earnings was, and then think about the physical aspects of what you were doing during that job. Like, how much time were you required to sit, stand, what were you required to lift? Basic information. You'll learn more of that from other information that we put out in our videos and our lessons. So job information. If you are approved and you're working, make sure you keep some accurate records. Follow the other information about staying below the allowed amount that you can make and keep your benefits, but definitely track those, the job title and work that you're doing. Okay, so that's number one. I've got these on a list down here, so that's what I'm referring to. Your medical history. Social Security, when you're starting the process, they're really going to concentrate on the past 2 years. But it's good to have a complete medical history to tell the whole story, because the symptoms may have started when you were working, and building up to that and showing how maybe you missed some days of work, you had to go on FMLA for a while and then you were back to work, things like that. Building the picture is really helpful. Just a chronological list of like these events and the diagnosis and the time that you were out of work will really be helpful. Key point with this is that it's evidence-based. The evidence that you can provide and support from your own testimonial and supported by your medical records is what's going to help you get and keep your disability benefits. So that's the second piece. Next one is, don't forget to include in your list doctors that you have only seen maybe once. For example, let's say you were referred to pain management and they're like, can't do anything for you, right? Well, you went and it was important, but you're not going back. It is important. That's the point is. So list those one-off. You know, if you're going to the dentist for a cleaning, that doesn't count really. It's not important unless for some reason that is something that prevents you from working. Okay, if you have trouble remembering some of your doctors that you've seen, which is not uncommon, a strategy to get that information is to go to your primary care doctor and say, can we just go back through the different doctors that you referred me to so I can create a comprehensive list? That will help you do that. And it's a great idea to keep your own medical files, and not necessarily a bookcase full of paper records. In today's environment, most have a patient portal. And if you have access to that, then you can look at your information, and you should definitely be reviewing your doctor's notes after each visit as you're going through the approval process and when you're approved, to make sure that what's in there is accurate, your limitations are accurate. So keeping a record of that. If there's some information that's not in your portal and you are computer savvy enough to save it, like to a Google Drive or a Dropbox or something like that, having that medical evidence is super valuable to do. And there's other tips that we provide that will teach you actually how to do that. So keep your medical records. If you unfortunately get a denial letter, whether you're going through the process and you get a denial letter, or you have a continuing disability review and you get a denial letter, read the denial letter. Oftentimes people are so emotionally distraught that they're like, oh, can't believe it. But one of the key things you want to look for is what Social Security collected for medical evidence. Like if you provided them with 5 doctors and they gathered evidence from 3, then you've got the basis for a really good argument there, because they didn't look at the whole picture, especially if they missed a primary care or a key treating physician, like, you know, a rheumatologist if you have an autoimmune condition, something like that. Medication list. Keep a chronological medication list. Maybe you were on 5 meds at one time, you're on 7 now, what they were, who prescribed them, and what conditions. So you want to keep that information so that you have a list. And again, this is something that is good to just, if you can keep a digital version of it, that's super, because then you can copy and paste that information. You can easily send it off. If you're keeping it on paper, then you've got to go do that whole transition thing. A pain diary, symptom diary. Even if you're working, or definitely if you're working, you should be doing this. Like, you know, if you go to work and you come home and you are so exhausted that you've got to take a 2-hour nap, and when you get up, you've got such chronic pain from standing 6 hours a day that you're not able to do a sink full of dishes for 2 people. Like what your limitations are for sitting, standing, bending, stooping, all of that type information. And if this is new to you, then follow the information that we have here at the Disability Digest. And there's other lessons that we have, but definitely keep a diary. This is not something that's going to be like consume hours a day, all of this stuff. It's really, if you do this just, you know, methodically on a routine basis, it's just a few moments a day. And I encourage you to look at it as disability insurance. It's your way to get your benefits and keep your benefits. Okay, here's an insider tip. In working with Social Security, especially at the time of this recording, they are so understaffed, and there's enormous issues there. So think about the person on the other side of the desk. They've got performance quotas that they do have to meet. They need to get through a certain amount of files. The easier you can make it for them to understand your situation, the better it's going to be for you and for them to get you through and get you approved. So clearly communicate, have all the right information, and again, remember that this is going to be brought up again. I'll give you an example. There is information where you're asked about what you can do on a daily basis, or some of the work type functions that you did, and you submit these early in the process. But if your case unfortunately goes to a hearing, that information is brought out and it's asked, maybe not in the same exact question, but it will be asked again. So I'm in hopes that these tips here have helped you understand what you need to have and keep on file for your disability benefits. For the next steps, if you are watching this out on social media and you are not a member here, we certainly invite you to join us. There's no charge for the membership. We can help you get your benefits, keep your benefits, and maximize them. If you are watching this as a member and this is part of the disability approval course that you are watching as a lesson, then just look below this video and below the text and you'll see the next lesson in the disability approval course. So again, I hope you found this helpful in helping you organize your information. Make it a great day. This has been Brian from the Disability Digest.